Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, without further ado, we're going to actually dive into comparing these two countries, Canada and Qatar. Which country would you like to migrate to live and work? First of all, we're going to take Canada as a case study. Canada offers us diverse multiple immigration programs. You can, the country offers diverse pathways to immigrations. For instance, you can migrate to Canada through express entry programs. It runs every year. It runs every year, every month. Millions of people all over the world get what they call ITA, that is invitation to apply to Canada through express entry. So secondly, there's something we call provincial nomination programs, PNPs. That is, each province in Canada can nominate you to come and stay in that particular province to live and work. And actually, it is also another pathway to permanent residence. So if you have gotten your permanent residence, actually it can lead you to citizenship after you have stayed in Canada for a couple of years, just like 3 years. That is 1,095 days. If you stay this number of days in Canada, you can apply for your citizenship. That means they will give you their passport at the end of the day. So the other way you can actually immigrate to Canada is by the student permit route. Actually, in this route, um, you just apply to one of the universities in Canada. We have many universities in Canada, so you can apply, and they have programs for international students. So you can apply to those schools. They will give you uh, they will give you admission. You pay the school fees, and you go to embassy, apply for your visa, show them proof of your fund, and you can land to Canada. Then we have another route. You can come to Canada. The route is what we call the job permit. Actually, you can stay outside of Canada, look for job. Once you have an employer that can offer you a job opportunity here, they issue you job opportunity. You can actually apply for, the employer will have to apply for you what we call LMIA. That what we call labor market impact assessment. So once it is approved, the employer the employer will go ahead to apply for your uh, work permit, and once it is approved, you can come to Canada. And the work permit actually is another expressway to permanent resident visa. I mean, you can, while you are working in Canada as a work permit holder, temporary work permit holder, you can also apply for your permanent resident, which is another good route. So Canada offers diverse cultures. What am I saying is this: Canada is a multicultural country that is welcoming to immigrants. So what am I saying is Canada welcomes immigrants from diverse culture. Here you can see Indians, you can see Ethiopians, Nigerians, American citizens, you can see UK citizens, Australian citizens, all the citizens of the world. In fact, in all the whole continent, you can see them here. They are all fully here. They are all fully represented here. So Canada is a multicultural country. It offers you diverse culture. You will see a lot of people from diverse cultures. So Canada does not discriminate in this. They give you visa is not because of where you're coming from, or the color of your passport, or who you are. Once you are in Canada and you have gotten you've gotten your permanent resident card, or you're a permanent resident of Canada, you are equal to Canadian citizens as well. You are equal to them, so you can apply. You can have health benefits. Your kids can go to free education, and you have quality lifestyle to live here. So this is the benefit. Then another thing we have to discuss here is job opportunities. They are depending on your occupations. There are many good job prospects here in Canada. So all you have to do, once you migrate to Canada, sit down, study what is obtainable in the province you are living, see what people are doing this, see what courses and certification people are doing there to get job. Do it and you will have a good job. And believe you me, they pay here is they pay you here very very, very well. They pay you very 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 well, and they pay you salaries on time. Some employers can pay you like 2 weeks, 1 week, depending on what you sign in your contract agreement. So I will tell you the other thing here. The cons of living in Canada is this: because of the weather can be so intense during the winter season. Of course, we know in different parts of the world we have different seasons in the world. So the winter period here is so intense, but you have got to like prepare for that because it's normal. Every country have their winter season, their summer season, their fall season, and all that. So these seasons are actually in all the whole countries of the world. But here you have to prepare for that. Like before the time, the way you can do that is this: before the time comes for the winter, like 4 months ahead, you can go and buy your winter jacket, and it's normally very cheap before the winter comes. So this is another thing. Then another cons of living in Canada is living in Canada is so expensive, but it depends on the cities you are living in. For instance, Vancouver is so the cost of living there is so expensive. Vancouver, Toronto, British Columbia, Quebec, Ontario, these areas we have cost of living. But there are many other areas, many other provinces you can stay that has minimal cost of living that you can be able to afford. So it's normal. So now we we delve into the pros of living in Qatar. We know that Qatar is one of the countries in the Middle East country that actually they have enormous wealth. They have enormous gas resources. I think in the world they should be the third or so in gas deposit in that country. But the issue is this: there's some things that people don't understand about living in Qatar. As of 2015, Qatar posed the highest GDP. In the whole world, they have the highest GDP as of 2014 to 15 or so. So they have high standard of living. So now, the factor then people say that Qatar was one of the richest countries in the world. But I will explain these things to you so that you understand these things, so that you don't make mistakes while making decision to migrate to this country. Now, one of the benefits of living in Qatar is this: Qatar is a tax-free income country, meaning that when you earn your salary, there is no tax. Nobody asks you for tax there. I have lived in Qatar more than 9 years, so I will tell you, all the years I worked there, I never pay any tax. This is accurate, this is exact. So, but this is things. Let me tell you something. People, the expatriate who enjoys in Qatar are the ones from the advanced countries like America, Canada, Australia, England, and most of the countries in Europe. Because of this, what I'm trying to explain to you now, in Qatar they pay you based on your passport. For instance, if you're coming from India, for instance, let's say you're a mechanical engineer, for instance, and someone who comes from America is also a mechanical engineer. You people are doing the same job, but the salary differs. You see, the expatriate that comes from America will have more higher pay than you that comes from India. But because there is a difference in your passport categories, so that's one thing you have to bear in mind. So someone that comes from America could be earning up to, in a month, maybe 40,000 Qatar riyals. But you that come from India, you can earn like in a month 10,000 Qatar riyals. So there is a difference. Though you people are doing the same job, but there is a difference. So there is tax-free salary. This is one of the things that the benefits of working in Qatar. So if you come from this country that has advanced development, you can earn a lot of money in Qatar while working as an expatriate. So second cons is this: Qatar has rapid economic growth. Actually, in recent years, Qatar has actually diversified their portfolios in different investments. Like they support most of the country in the tech world, like, you know, give them actually seed fund for the investment. Like in Qatar, we have a Qatar Investment Authority. That this is the arm of the Qatar government that actually invests, their portfolios in diverse, investments and all that. So this is very, very, very okay. And we have cultural experience in Qatar. So though Qatar has, you can see diverse culture, but just that people in Qatar live segregated lifestyle. Nobody wants to interact with anybody. Everybody's living their own life. Nobody wants to interact with anybody. So if you live in Qatar, don't be surprised. You cannot be able to interact with the owners of the land. I mean, they call them the Qataris. You cannot interact with them. It's difficult. You cannot even friend them. It's difficult because they are so small minority. They live secluded lifestyle. So you don't actually one. Hence, you are not a Qataris. I don't. It is difficult to make friends. It's difficult actually. I'm talking based on my experience. Why I was living there. So Qatar government actually, they are doing so well in terms of infrastructural development. They have been doing so well. I mean, they have been doing so well in that. But actually, there is cost of living in Qatar. I mean, that what I mean is this. I mean, the rent is so expensive in Qatar. So this is one of the areas that I'll have to, like, let me just digress a little. The cost of living in Qatar is so expensive. I mean, the rent is so expensive. So that's the reason when you go to Qatar, most of the expatriates live in, they live in shared apartments. What do I mean by this? You could see in one room 7 people living in one room. The reason being that the rent is so expensive because of the fact that these expatriates earn little sum of money. Their salary is so minimal. They pay them small salaries and all that, and they cannot be able to actually afford to pay for this high rent. They will pay the high rent and send some money to the families back home, because that's the most important thing. When you're working in foreign countries, when you make your money, you save some money and also send your family back home for them to actually buy some basic things of life. So, but in Qatar, the reverse is the case. The rent is so expensive. So that is the reason most of the expatriates, they live in colony. I mean, what I mean is they stay in, they stay together in apartment because of this, so that they can be able to actually afford this rent. So having said that, so but there's another cons of living in Qatar. There's something we call the kafala system. Is the kafala is an Arabic word. So in English it means sponsorship. That means that for you to migrate to Qatar, a company inside Qatar has to sponsor you in. That is one thing. That is the one thing you should know. You can't just migrate to Qatar on your own to go live and work. No, it's not possible. But you might have tourist visa to visit this country and live. But if you want to migrate to live and work, it's another case. A company inside the country has to sponsor you in. And this kind of immigration has been actually, I mean, cried upon by the international communities, in the sense that this kind of sponsorship immigration has actually done more harm than good. In the sense that the companies sponsor you in, they exploit you, they restrict your movement, they seize your passport, you don't have freedom of your own. So this is so bad on the part of Qatar. I would say it without, I mean, qualms of conscience, because I lived there and I witnessed the same thing. So I have to tell you this. This is the fact. So this kind of sponsored immigration is so bad, in the sense that the company that sponsors you in, the government has nothing to do with them. The government has no say in any decision they take on your behalf. The government says nothing about it. This is one of the disadvantages of living in Qatar. So the company that sponsors you in determines your fate. When they can fire you at any time and send you back to your country. This is so wicked, and this is the reason I am making this video so that people will understand. So that while you are making your immigration decision, you should think twice before you make that move. I want to talk more about this section because this is where people are getting it wrong. Let me tell you, people who suffer this kind of thing is people from the third world countries like India, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, Cameroon, Morocco, Tanzania. All the countries in Africa are suffering this fate. This is the reality. This is stark reality. So the kafala system in Qatar should be, the whole world condemn that kind of system, but they have not changed it. For instance, you have your resident permit. The resident permit is renewed annually. So now, when I'm making these two comparisons between Canada and Qatar, you will see the two different things. Canada gives you work permit, your resident permit, permanent resident, is being renewed in 5 years, and the cost to renew it is around 50 Canadian dollars. Is the amount you will use to renew their permanent resident card. But in Qatar, their permanent resident card, the government charge you 1,220 Qatar riyals every year. This is a whole lot of money. And some people runs into this problem of not being able to afford to renew their resident permit yearly. So look at it, the trend. Most of these companies that sponsors people in Qatar, they exploit them by collecting huge sum of money to renew their resident permit. The government charge rate is 1,220 Qatar riyal, but this individual they charge you 3,000 Qatar riyal to renew your resident permit yearly. What is so expensive? Yearly means 12 months. So this is so annoying. So, and the company sometimes that sponsors you in, they will not help you to get you a job. All they do is to charge you money to renew your resident permit. And the whole world has condemned this attitude. So your freedom is restricted. You cannot go to immigration to actually renew your resident permit here. Somebody has to do that on your behalf. And that is the company that sponsors you in. So they have the right to fire you and send you back to your country. So these are the things you should bear in mind when you want to migrate to Qatar. The people who enjoy this benefit, the good side of Qatar is the expatriates from the advanced countries of the world. America, UK, Europe, and the rest of them. They enjoy this benefit. But people from the third world country are victims of this circumstance. So be aware while you are making the visa decision to migrate to Qatar to live and work. Be aware of these things. And our secondly is this: why in Canada the residents enjoy free education system? In Qatar, it's not like that. If you are an expatriate who works in Qatar, the schools are not free. You must pay school fees of your children every month. You must pay their school fees. That is a stark reality. So when you want to migrate to Qatar, think about these things. The schools are not free. Hospitals are not free. You must pay them. You must have your health card. Though if it's a government hospital, the amount is actually reduced, but it's not free. This is the fact. It is not free. The amount is reduced, but it is not free. This is the fact. So, having spoken these things, you can now be able to actually make your personal decisions where to migrate to come and work. Look at your personal circumstance. Look at your individual scenario. Look at your individual long-term goal. So as I've told you, and in Qatar, no matter how many years you stay, you cannot obtain their permanent residence card. It's not possible. From the last time I checked, what they said is this: you must stay in the country for 20 years before they will issue you they are permanent residents, and it has to undergo through stringent measures, strict measures before you can be able to get their permanent resident. So what they offer you to work in Qatar is what we call temporary resident visa, to work and renew it every year. So bear this in mind. I'm talking specifically for my friends in Nigeria, India, all the countries of the world. I mean, except advanced countries. So when you want to migrate in these countries, if you get job outside there, bargain your salaries very very well before immigrating to Qatar. So this is something that's been happening in Qatar for a long time, and the government or that country don't actually commit to these things. So some people are trapped right there now because they cannot be able to renew their resident permit. They don't have the money to do that because they cannot pay their sponsor 3,000 Qatar riyals, which is so expensive. The sponsors charge you 2 times of the money the government charges, and the government has nothing to say about that. This is something I call fantastic corruption. The government knows these things, but they don't speak anything about that. And some people that comes are in this trap right now. So having said this much, brother, if you like this video that you will just watch now, just click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to our channel because we have more videos coming your way that actually will enlighten you. So before you make any decision where to travel to, actually you can be able to go back and watch those videos. They will enlighten you so that you don't make mistakes. It is good to migrate to a good country where you have long-term benefits, even if you are paying tax, but you have long-term benefits. For instance, your children can go to free schools, you have free health care system, and other things that makes life so worthwhile living. So think about this before you make your decisions. And I actually try to give advice to my fellow Nigerians who are running to come to Qatar. If an agent has told you that yes, you can get to Qatar visa, if I were you, I wouldn't go for that. If I were you, having listened to this video I have made now, I wouldn't go for that. I wouldn't go for that. Think twice. Don't just pay your money and come inside the country, you start regretting it. You will start regretting why you came there. I feel they said a word is enough for the wise. Thank you for watching this video. God bless you and remain blessed.